Welcome to the Channel for Grace. Gobind will be live shortly. Book a tarot or astrology reading on our website, channelforgrace.guru, and check out our latest programs and classes. Please give us a share and a like, and we hope you enjoy the broadcast. Welcome to the Channel for Grace. Gobind will be live shortly. Book a tarot or astrology reading on our website, channelforgrace.guru, and check out our latest programs and classes. Please give us a share and a like, and we hope you enjoy the broadcast. Welcome to the Channel for Grace. Gobind will be live shortly. Book a tarot or astrology reading on our website, channelforgrace.guru, and check out our latest programs and classes. Please give us a share and a like, and we hope you enjoy the broadcast.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Gobind and this is your Channel for Grace. Thank you guys so much for watching the replay of this video, and thank you to those of you that are here live. I decided to do this video because I want to talk about today the importance of astrology in the Aquarian age, and I have a lot of information that I'm going to share with you guys about the ancient world and how they used astrology and how it's coming back, and why it's coming back, and why we need to pay attention to it, and why this is the perfect time to learn astrology. And so I am actually launching an astrology course called Aquarian Astrology, and it begins on May 5th. You can get more details in the link in the description of this video, but this course will be ongoing, but it's every module will be sold separately, and each module will be $33, and it's all hosted on my website. What you get is an entire course of learning how to do your own astrology and learn your own birth chart and learn how to understand it all and what it all means. And there's so much to astrology, but I'm so excited because of what I'm going to talk about today. So let's see who's in the chat. We've got Shannon in here. Hey, Shannon. Hey, Wendy. Welcome in. Kim, how's it going? Much love and light and grace to everyone. Yes. Hey, Eric, how are you? Hello, Stacy. Welcome in. So if you're curious and you want to know more about how did they use astrology in the ancient world, and what is it about astrology that makes it so powerful, and why is astrology coming back? Like, have you guys noticed like how astrology is more and more people are, hey Christina, are wanting to know about astrology? I mean, it's a phenomenon, right, that's happening right now. I've been talking about it a little bit here and there, but never like I'm gonna do in this video. So let me know if you guys are ready, because I'm just gonna dive in. I'm gonna dive into the story, and this is part of also a little bit of the content. I wanted to give you guys a little preview of some of the things that we are going to be talking about in this course along the course of a whole year. And so you know where I'm coming from and why I think this is important, besides because I love astrology, because I want to do it. It's not like that. I really want to give you guys some basic and powerful information about it so you can make an informed decision about yourself and your life right now, because 2020 it's not, these changes are going to be here for a while. What's happening right now is going to be here for a while. And what we need to do is be prepared and be ready and do the internal work. And it's no coincidence that astrology is coming back and we're entering into the age of Aquarius. And I tell you all about it. But let me know if you're excited to know about this stuff. And if you're watching the replay and if you're watching this before May 5th, if you're watching this before May 5th, you can still join us for the class live. If you're watching this after May 5th, then just go purchase the class. The replay is already uploaded. We will have already finished the class. So it's there. It's ready for you to begin your journey of initiation into understanding yourself. Yes, I've noticed that more people are talking about it and open to it. It's funny because the more we get into it, the more we meet more people that are into it. And so it seems like it's expanding, but the truth is that it is. It really is. There is more and more people interested in it and wanting to know how it works. Hey, Christina G, how's it going? Hey, Stephanie. And yes, thank you guys all for being here. We got it, Shannon. We got it. Okay, so here's what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to just tell you like the big chunks of topic that I want to cover, and then I'm just going to go into the discussion. And, you know, feel free to ask questions. This is more of like a conversational thing. I have the information. I have my notes that I want to cover with you guys. And know that this is like a sneak preview into the class. But also this is a conversation, so feel free to ask questions as you watch. But basically what I want to talk about is a little bit of the history of astrology, the history of our world, basically, and as it relates to astrology. I want to talk about the difference between Vedic or sidereal astrology and also tropical astrology. So Vedic astrology versus Western astrology, and because that is a debate that it's out there in the world, and the more that we understand how it all works, because you have to understand how the systems work. The more that you understand how it all works, the more that you will be able to align with the astrology that you truly align with, that you feel the most connected to. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about basically when they in AD 221, when they fixed the synodic vernal point at 0 degrees Aries for the spring equinox, and what that means for us. We're also going to talk about astrology in the ancient world, astrology in Atlantis, and how did they use astrology? How did the ancient Atlanteans use astrology? And the truth is that yes, they used astrology. They made that, you know, we don't know what they had like in terms of technology. So now we have like the internet, and we have computers, and we have, you know, our astrology programs and all that stuff. Well, they had different methods, but we don't really know the extent of the way that they distributed their information. But they definitely had it, and they definitely were aware of astrology and the constellations, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too. And what was the process that they did? What was their initiation process for their high priests and high priestesses, and how that relates to us now in the Aquarian age. And then we're going to go into talking about astrology in the Aquarian age. So does that sound good? Oh my God, I'm so excited. So I'm going to incorporate it into my spa services. So here we go. So the first thing I want to talk about is basically the history of astrology. Now, you've probably heard me talk about this before, but 12,000 years ago, there was a cataclysm. It's not known exactly what happened. Maybe an asteroid hit the Earth. By the way, did you guys know that an asteroid like almost hit the Earth recently? But basically, there was a cataclysm, and hey, Lisa, and the Earth changed dramatically, like the topography of the Earth, the planet itself. Hey, Karina, thank you for that donation, Kim. Well, welcome in. We just started. And what happened, it caused the Earth to tilt on its axis. And then it started to kind of do this wobbling thing. So the Earth is tilted and it wobbles. But this didn't start until 12,000 years ago. So what that did was it started the precession of the equinoxes and the astrological ages. We're going to go into the astrological ages in the class on Tuesday. So if you want to join us and you want to dive deeper into all of this, then make sure that you join our astrology class. But basically, this started the ticking clock, right? The clock ticking and the 26,000 year cycle of the precession of the equinoxes. So everything changed during that time. But what was actually going on before that? What was going on before that, right? Haven't you ever like wondered about that? Like, well, before that, there's a lot of evidence in ancient temples, like way ancient temples, like a lot of them in Egypt, on the walls of the temples. You know how they put all the stories, and that was how they like put their history down. Well, on the temples, on the walls of the temples, there is evidence that shows that before that there was a cataclysm 12,000 years ago, and that before the cataclysm there was thousands and thousands and thousands of years of what they called Zep Tepi, which is the golden age of the planet. So this is we're talking about, hey William, this is the time where Lemuria flourished, is the time that Atlantis also flourished. It's the time where you have the gods, where what you know where the stories of the gods come from? Print all of it out, Kim. The stories of the gods are basically stories that came from this golden age, when there actually was extraterrestrial beings, the Anunnaki, the Pleiades, the Syrians. They actually came to Earth, and they like mingled with the humans, and that is where it's from those ancient times. Basically what they came here to do was to help seed the earth, to bring their seeds into the earth. So did you know we're descendants of like beings from all over the universe? It's kind of crazy. But basically these beings were actually here on earth, like physically here on earth. And during that time, they helped human beings in their evolutionary process. And so the stories, obviously, when the stories get handed down, they become, extravagant stories, and they become very symbolic, which is an important point to make, because astrology now is about how the planets affect us, right? And so the stories got handed down and handed down and handed down, and where do all the gods like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Venus, right, Aphrodite, like all of those gods and all of those beings, they're stories that come from a very, very ancient past, where there actually were beings from other planets here on Earth. And the way that the humans interpreted it was, those are our gods, right? Because they came to teach us, and they came to help us evolve and bring us knowledge. So if you ever wonder, where do all those stories of the gods come from? Well, they come from way back then, where it was called Zep Tepi, which was the golden age. So the cataclysm happens, the earth tilts on its axis, and the precession of the equinox starts, and the clock starts ticking. And what is basically the precession of the equinoxes? Hey Mels, welcome in. It is basically a time where we began to be influenced by the stars and the constellations. And really all you need to know is that everything changed, and human beings had to get used to a new sky. Because when the precession of the equinoxes happened, the sky started to move differently. So when the earth is not tilted and it's straight up and down in the vertical axis, it spins on its axis. But in the ecliptic, right, it's like there's no movement from our perspective. It was always the same star rising and falling and all of that stuff. So that never changed. But when the earth tilted, our view of the outside world, the stars, because it's like we looked up to the stars represented the sky. that view started to be different. It was like a different star was rising and falling, and it was like, it was so different. They had to chart it out. They had to like draw it out because it was changing from the way that they were used to seeing it. You guys follow me so far? So people during the age of Leo, which is the first astrological age that we started, that the earth started having the equinoxes, during the age of Leo, people became obsessed with the sky and looking up at the sky. And the earliest known records of the constellations, like, do you ever wonder, where do the constellations come from? Like, did someone create them? Like, where did they come from? Well, the constellations, obviously, from the perspective of Earth, they've always been there. People have been aware of it. They've been familiar with it. But when the precession happened, a lot of that knowledge was lost. But because the sky started moving, the earliest known records that we have of the constellations are the Babylonians. And the Babylonians were the ones that started charting the stars. There's like, you can look it up. Like, there's these ancient like maps and stuff. And a lot of them were like on stone and then on the walls and things like that. But there's evidence that of this being charted. But the Babylonians weren't the first ones, that weren't the ones that came up with the information. The information was already there, just like the gods, you know, that stuff had been, you know, handed down and handed down and handed down, the stories of them. The constellations, the same thing. Because in ancient Atlantis, they used astrology as part of their initiation paths. I know, this is amazing stuff. So just because we right now don't have actual physical records of the constellations dating back to the Babylonians doesn't mean that they didn't. And it's really important to note that, because a lot of the information that's coming through us now is coming through light workers, through star seeds, through beings that are remembering past lives. And they have a very, very powerful purpose here on Earth right now. We are in the Aquarian age where everything is shifting and changing. Yes, exactly, Wendy. And so now the information is coming more through a channeling and through a remembering and through basically like the portals opening up within us to where we can access that information. The portals are always there, but we are accessing the information now, where before we were kind of blocked from it. And I believe that the Aquarian age is helping us to access this information. So that's like where it all comes from, right? It's pretty much where it all comes from. So then we get to the topic of like sidereal astrology versus tropical astrology. Have you guys heard of Vedic astrology? I'm sure you guys have. Well, some people swear on Vedic astrology, and some people very, very strongly swear on tropical astrology. They're like gears in a giant cosmic clock. Yes, ooh, I like that. That's really cool. So before we talk about the differences between those two types of astrology, we have to define what the precession of the equinoxes are, because this is key to understanding Vedic astrology as well as Western astrology. So not a lot of people use it. Yeah, because Western astrology has really like come back. I swear on tropical astrology. Okay, so basically the sun, okay, so like we revolve around the sun, right? And so, yes, Vedic, but not tropical. I may know about it, but not by name, because my feelings about people is definitely Scorpion, not Libra. So basically the earth, yes, I'm not sure what to make of it. I was Aquarius in both. So we're not going to worry about all that. What we're going to worry about is the system and how it works and why and what is the difference, right? So the sun, when we revolve around the sun, every time we reach the spring equinox, which is a moment in time where it's almost like the birth of the sun, the light of the sun, right? It's the time where when we're in the winter, the light has gotten to its darkest point. Your speaker is being affected now? What do you mean? Relate more with my son is laying next to me listening to you. He's enjoying this. Oh, good. Nice. I like that. What's going on with my speaker? Can you guys hear me? Let me type it into the chat. It sounds good to you? I'm going to make sure it's fixed before I continue. Maybe something's going on with your phone, Wendy? Okay, anybody else having trouble hearing me? It doesn't surprise me. This information is pretty intense. Sounds good here on my end? Okay. If it continues to happen, let me know, please. I don't want to continue unless... Wait, you guys are having issues or no? You're getting feedback. There's nothing that should be causing any feedback right now. You got quiet like last night. Wait, what? Oh, no issues for you? Hang on, let me try this. Oh, I see what you're saying. You got quiet like last night. Wait, what? Oh. I can see what you're saying, Wendy. I don't think there's anything I can do about that right now. Sorry. I can try. Hang on. I'm going to reset the sound, okay? Give me a second. I see what you're saying. Just the light wasn't, but I didn't notice until you asked. It may, and you know, sometimes it happens like just constantly. So give me a second. I'm going to mute myself and try to fix the sound real quick. Is that any better? Hopefully that's better. I'll just keep talking. Thank you, Sarah, for that donation. Appreciate it. Are you guys enjoying this? I hope you are. Shannon. Yeah, it's like a low-level annoyingness. I know. I'm sorry. I don't think there's anything I can do about that right now, guys. Is this any better? I guess I should check it myself. Yeah, it's like a low-level annoyingness. I know. I'm sorry. I don't think there's anything I can do about that right now, guys. I bet. Yeah, I bet. Oh my God. Let me look at one more thing. Okay, but you guys can hear me though, right? I mean, it's not like you're gonna die. Okay, thank you. Good. Okay, so we're gonna continue. All right. So where was I? I was talking about how basically the precession of the equinoxes works. So the way that it works is like, so we travel around the sun, and at the spring equinox, the sun eclipses a constellation behind it. The sun eclipses the constellation behind it. Right? What's an eclipse? It means this eclipse means there's the earth, then there's the sun, and then behind the sun there's a constellation. Can you picture that in your mind? put the volume up, maybe. Let's turn. I don't think it'll get rid of the, let me try doing this. Is that any better? No, probably not. Check. I see. Yeah, no, I don't think I can make it any better, you guys. Maybe I can try doing the full volume. Check. Is that okay? Is that too much? Oh my God, this is hilarious. Check. Yeah, no, I don't think I can make it any better, you guys. Maybe I can try doing the full volume. Check. Is that okay? Is that too much? Oh my God, this is hilarious. But it's still that that background noise is louder, isn't it? Becca. Okay. I know it's definitely like some kind of feedback. I'm not sure what's causing it, but I mean I'll figure it out between now and the next broadcast. But let me just continue. Okay, so can you picture that? Can you picture the Earth, the Sun, and then a constellation behind it every time we get to the spring equinox? If you can picture that, then you'll start to understand, because I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it a little more complicated, okay? So the sun eclipses, there's just a background on, you get fuzz tonalness. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can hear it too. All right, so we're just going to continue, and I'm sorry about that noise. So here we go. Basically, every 72 years, that constellation that's eclipsing the sun, that constellation that is eclipsing the sun moves 1 degree. Every 72 years, it moves 1 degree. Okay? So that is how we chart the astrological ages. That is how we chart the astrological ages. Because that constellation, every time we come back to the spring equinox and we see what the sun is eclipsing, the constellation behind it is the constellation that's marking the astrological age. So it's every 72 years, the constellation moves 1 degree in relationship to where we're at in the sun. Then it's going to take about 2,160 years to move over to the next constellation. So that's why each astrological age is about 2,160 years. So Vedic astrology follows that. It's called the synodic vernal point. Vedic astrology follows the constellation that is behind the sun. Okay? Western astrology stopped following it in AD 222 when the synodic vernal point was fixed at 0 degrees Aries every spring equinox. That's why in Western astrology, the astrological year starts with, they both start in the spring equinox, but for Western astrology, that point is always 0 degrees of Aries. 0 degrees of Aries. So what does this mean? Well, this means that Vedic astrology focuses on like what's out there in the universe, the stars, right? And this is something that for long periods of time we focused on. We focused on like, the outer world, and it was very balanced and aligned because before the cataclysm during the golden age, the stars were all the same. And so for the longest time, it was like we were in balance. We were in the golden age. But when the earth tilted and the stars started to move, we were having to figure things out differently. And there was this like separation. We became like almost like separated in a way from the universe. And so then the clock started ticking towards, we need to ascend, right? We need to get to a higher state of awareness with humanity so we can ascend the earth, because the ultimate goal is for the universe is basically the being, the oneness, right, has expressed itself out into the world and has separated into like a bunch of fragments, and we are parts of that oneness. We're fragments of that oneness. And so the expression goes, it expands out, and then it comes back into itself, and then it expands out again, and then it comes back into itself. That's like the Big Bang, you know, and then it expands, and then it contracts. Well, we're in an expansion. So like the universe right now is like chaotic in a sense. It feels very chaotic. And so it expands out, and we're in the process of coming back into ourselves as humanity on this planet. Like that's our goal, that's our purpose. It always is. That's always the goal of ascendance, transcendence. It's always coming back into yourself. And then the second time that you expand out again, you expand out with pure love, pure compassionate love. Wow. Crazy, Nakarin. So that's what happens, okay? That's the goal. So all you have to know is like with Vedic astrology, because it stayed connected to the sky, to basically to the world that's beyond, right? The universe, what's out there, the stars. It's very much still in the heavens. It's very much still in the sky. So you've got Vedic astrology related to the mind and the sky and heaven, right? The masculine. And then you've got Western astrology connected to our emotions, to the earth, to the seasons, to the feminine. How did this happen? You know how when you speak the truth, things that don't agree will try to quiet the truth. I feel like there's all this annoyances. Be truth and be light. Yeah. Whoa. Okay. So how did this happen? How did Western astrology get separated from Vedic astrology, and what does it all mean? Well, in AD 221, they humans fixed the synodic vernal point at 0 degrees Aries, which means that from that point on, whenever the sun came back, whenever we got back to the spring equinox, we always started with 0 degrees Aries, even though actually astronomically we're not at that degree. We're actually at 6 degrees of Pisces. So Vedic astrology bases its synodic vernal point at 6 degrees of Pisces, which puts it 24 degrees behind the tropical zodiac. And as time goes on, they will keep getting farther and farther away from each other. So basically at that point, Western astrology was created. It branched out off of Vedic astrology. It became something different. But I feel like it was very divinely guided, because we needed guidance for our inner selves. We needed guidance for our lives. We needed guidance to understand who we are, and we needed to remember that we are the ones that need to do the change and the transformation, right? So at this point, we started to focus on our inner selves, on self-development, on the emotions, on how we feel, on our personalities, our gifts, our creativity, our strengths, basically everything that has to do with the evolution of humanity, the evolution of the human being. And remember, so we started counting time by when Jesus was born, right? So like at 221 AD, that was after Jesus was born. And that was actually the beginning, near the beginning of the age of Pisces. Jesus ushered in the age of Pisces. So that was actually the age that we were supposed to connect with our emotional self, with exploring our own beliefs and the divine and our connection to the divine. Where we moved from focusing on the sky to focusing on earth, from focusing on the masculine to focusing on the feminine, from focusing on the outer to focusing on the inner, from the old astrology to the new astrology, from the rigid to the fluid. If you basically, when you think about the term heaven on earth, because a lot of astrologers use that term, heaven on earth. It's like astrology is like bringing the heavens to the earth. You're talking about Western astrology, because it was literally brought down to earth when they fixed the synodic vernal point at 0 degrees Aries. This was the message of Jesus. It was the Christ consciousness. It was learning how to embody Christ consciousness by studying your star map in a modern way, right? So basically, Vedic astrology never came down to earth. It stayed in the heavens. It doesn't make it wrong, and it doesn't make it like not good. It just makes it different. It's an entirely different system, and it's good. It's really good at predicting like events, collective events, societal things, predictions, but it's really good at making predictions, but it really has no interest in like the human, like the heart space. It's very fatalistic. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever gotten a Vedic reading, but it's very much like, this means this, this means this, this means this. And there's no room for interpretation in Vedic astrology. There's a lot of rules, and you follow the rules. Do you think that may have happened because it was too complex for humans? No. No, it's actually very simple. Western astrology is more complex, and I'll tell you why. Vedic astrology is simple. You don't need to study it. You don't need to integrate it. You don't need to intuit it. Vedic astrology, you can literally get a book and read it and learn the rules, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then follow the rules, and then you're good. There, like I said, there's no room for interpretation or intuition in Vedic astrology. I mean, it is intuitive, but Western astrology is way more intuitive. So the focus of Western astrology is on the person and on the inner being and the growth of the person. So the split happened because it needed to happen, because we needed to come down to earth. We needed to ground ourselves and work on ourselves. So what has been going on since that time? Well, there's two big things: church and science. Okay? The church, yeah, exactly. The church took over, and we gave our power away to the church. So we, in essence, said, and this is very Piscean, there's something out there, right? It's out there in the 12th house. It's out there in the universe, and I wanna believe in it. So I'm gonna believe in it, but I didn't realize that believing in it meant believing that I am it. So Western is tropical astrology? Yes. Am I understanding that correct? Vedic is the older astrology, and tropical is Western, and what we are typically exposed to now, human experience oriented. So Western astrology is tropical astrology. Vedic astrology is called sidereal astrology. Thanks, soul sister. So that's the first thing that happened, is the church. They took advantage of the situation. They took control of the situation. So what happened is astrology went underground. Basically, all of the occult, right? It's like it's like the witch hunts. It was like, okay, we're not going to talk about that anymore. We're going to like pretend we know nothing about it, because otherwise we're going to get persecuted. They're going to think we're a witch, right? It became demonic in the eyes of the purity of the church, right? So all the occult, all the mystery schools, all the teachings became hidden from fear of persecution. Then fast forward to when science arrived, right? Science, right? The Industrial Revolution, scientific method, testing things to make sure they're true. And it pulled us in a completely other direction. It's still a form of control, because we gave our power away to the church, And I'm talking in general terms. I'm not talking about you specifically. Okay, I'm talking about like what historical things that, you know, we gave our power away to the church, and then God was outside of us when Jesus really taught that God was inside of us. So we gave that power away. And then when science came around, we gave our mind away. Right? They took over our minds because from the point of view of science, astrology cannot be proven through scientific testing. Therefore, it's fake, pseudoscience, not real, etc., etc. Right, it's just like the book we're reading. You can get a lot of information in this book called Revelations from the Ruby Crystal by Barbara Handclough. What really happened, you know? That makes sense, though, the church taking over the beginning period of human experience. Yeah, exactly, it does. It does. So that's what's going on. But science itself is the observation. Science is the observation of whatever you're observing. The observation of the system, the observation of the planets, the observation of the earth, the observation of whatever. Like, science itself has become something that naturally it's not. And so that's why there's this like separation, right? And we feel like things that are like divination practices, things that are, you know, they're ruled by Neptune, you guys. The age of Pisces is ruled by Neptune. And that's the age of like, basically it's the age of the heart. And it's also, and it's interesting because science, when you observe something, right? Even if you do scientific testing, and this is where we get into quantum physics and quantum mechanics and all of that, the person doing the experiment can actually influence the results of the experiment. Like, you can't separate. We're intertwined. There's dimensions, there's, you know, there's galaxies, there's different energies, and we're all of it. We're in all dimensions at the same time. We're just not aware of it because our view of reality is from the third dimension. So what's happening is that you can't separate yourself from what's going on, from the observation. That's why, like, a lot of people that think they understand science as this factual thing, and if you can't prove it through science, it doesn't work. I don't think they really understand science. And I don't think they really understand that you cannot, like, put a scientific experiment in a vacuum. Because we're humans and we have consciousness and we affect energetically everything that is around us. That's the part that we're missing. That's the knowledge that we've been missing. That's the knowledge that's been hidden, right? Because with Neptune, it can be two things. Neptune can be the divine, the mystical, the beautiful, the heart-centered, but it can also be the illusion and the deception, right? So if you study science, they teach it compartmentally, not integrated. They're free to... Yes, Sparky, exactly. So it's just a misunderstanding. And so a lot of people think, okay, astrology isn't, it's fake, it's whatever, it's pseudoscience, all this, because they don't really understand the whole, right, integration of it. So it's fascinating stuff. I mean, are you guys excited? Like, who's actually signed up for the class? Because the reason one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing this video right now is to show you guys why I'm doing this astrology class, why I chose to study astrology, and how powerful of a tool it is in the Aquarian age. So what I'm going to share with you right now is something that I learned literally this week in my advanced course studying how to become an Arsacian priest. Yes, so an Arsacian priest is a priest from ancient Atlantis. Nice, Shannon. An Arsacian priest is a ancient high priestess and high priest from ancient Atlantis. That was their name. They were Arsacians. Okay? In Atlantis, they actually used astrology. And the course that I just took is the course from Matias de Stefano. So I'm not claiming that this is my information. Like, I will channel the information and I will collect it in all different parts and all different areas of the world and books and all this stuff, and then I will bring it to you. And a lot of the stuff that my intuitive abilities, those are like really, really channeled. But the information that I give you, I've collected it by studying, right? Which is so Gemini. But I've collected it, I study it, and then I interpret it, and then I bring it to you. So I'm not claiming that what I'm going to talk about next is something that I came up with or that I knew about. I've learned this. And you can learn too how to basically become an advanced person in the path to transcendence. Okay? So basically, in the ancient world, in Atlantis, they used astrology to initiate people on the path of the self. To become a high priest or high priestess in Atlantis, you had to go through these 8 major paths. And if you study with Matias de Stefano, he's going to start guiding people starting this year through this path collectively. His role here. So the astrology course begins on Tuesday, May 5th. There's a link in the description. That's how you sign up. All the information is on the portal. You get your login and password. We go live on Tuesday, but then the class is uploaded. And then the next module won't happen until June. So it'll be once a month. And each module is $33. So that is how you sign up. There's a link in the description. It's really easy. Thank you, Shannon. So this was the path, the 8-fold path of the Arsacian priests. What they first had to learn is the Trinity of the self. The Trinity of the self. Basically the Merkaba within your energy field. They were taught about the fact that we are basically 2 tetrahedrons, 1 point up, 1 point down. That creates the Merkaba. And we are energetic beings. And the point is to understand ourselves and our processes and then express that out, right? We go inwards and then we go outwards. We travel through the dimensions, then we come back. We go learn the information, then we bring it back. And we help the next people. So the Trinity of the self, which is, they learned about vibration, they learned about energy, and they learned about the material world. In essence, they learned about their own will. They also learned about wisdom, and they learned about their capacity to love. These are the Trinities. Then they started to learn about the cycles of time and the 4 elements. And the four cycles of expression, time, and the earth, they were represented by the cube. So we start with the Trinity, which is the tetrahedron. Then we move into the cube, which represents the earth, the elements, the cycles of time, the equinoxes, the solstices. So then they learned about the cycles of time and the elements. And the fact that when we go through life, we go through an expression period. That's our birth. We go through an experimentation period. That's our adolescence. We go through an integration period. That's our adulthood. And then we go through a transcendence period, which is the wise sage. Then, once they completely integrated all of that information, they learned about the 7 laws of the universe, which are connected to the chakras, the 7 major chakras in our body. So they learned about the fact that there's how it goes from the bottom to the top. Even though we like to think of it as from the bottom to the top, it's really not. It's really cyclical. It's always cyclical. But they learned about the 7 laws of the universe. And without going into detail, because I am not able to, the 7 laws are generation, polarity, cause and effect, rhythm, vibration, correspondence, and mentalism, or the mind. So then, once they master the 7 laws of the universe, then they began their self-initiation. So the self-initiation was a 1-year journey through They're your own zodiac year. And your zodiac year begins with on your birth date. And it had everything to do with your natal chart and understanding yourself fully and why you came here, along with your gifts and your strengths and what you have to offer the world. They went through literally, I'm going to start this on my birthday on June 3rd, because this is the next phase of the training that I'm taking. For a whole year, starting on my birthday on June 3rd, every 30 days, I'm going to split those 30 days into 10 days, 10 days, 10 days. And every single day I'm going to process and work on and meditate on the energy of, with the beginning sign, which is your sun sign. So mine is Gemini. So I start with Gemini. And every month, every 30 days, not every month, exactly 30 days, you do the energy of, you process the energy of that sign through the physical body, through the emotions, and through the mental part of that sign. So then the next 30 days, it goes to the next sign and the next sign and the next sign. This process is very detailed, and this is what I learned, but I'm just giving you an example. I'm not saying I'm going to show you guys how to do this, but because you'd have to actually study with Matthias to do this. But this is something that I'm going to be doing. But when you get to 360 days, you know that our actual year has 365 days. So once you do the whole process of 360, which is the astrological wheel, 360 degrees, 360 days, there's 5 days left. And so those 5 days left at the end of your yearly cycle of a self-initiation, what you do is you celebrate the sacred geometry that creates it all. And so on the first day, the first of those 5 days, you celebrate the octahedron. It's like, who am I? On that second day, you celebrate the tetrahedron, which are my paths. On the third day, you celebrate the cube. What's my purpose? On the fourth day, you celebrate the icosahedron. So what are my gifts and my strengths? And then on the fifth day, you celebrate the dodecahedron. How can I connect to the grid of the earth? How can I express this outward? And once that journey is done, then you begin the next journey, which is you take that inner journey and you express it outwards into the world. And so you go out and you teach and you share the knowledge. But then the last part of the journey is literally to travel around the earth and go to the sacred portals, which a lot of them are found on sacred sites on the earth. But this is the journey that ends with the traveling to the physical location of the nodes of the planet that contain those portals that channel all the energy of the universe. So the Arsayan journey was first to discover yourself, and then to take that knowledge and alignment out into the world, and then travel to the physical portals of the planet, and then teach on the journey towards transcendence, to teach everything that you've learned. So the cycle continues. It's always a cycle, and more people do it. So you become a teacher, and when everyone does this, that is when the earth ascends and humanity transcends the third dimension, activating and anchoring all 9 dimensions on earth. Exactly. The Mayan calendars had a lot of this information in their calendar. There's 2 calendars in the Mayan calendar. I'm actually reading a book about it right now. One of them is the last 5,000 years, which ended in 2012. And then there's another calendar that goes billions and billions of years. And they mark these like ages since the beginning of the planet. But they had this. Like, how could they possibly have had this information? The only way is you have connections to people that know the information. Right? And I believe that those are the beings that came from other planets and other dimensions and other places in the universe that came and seeded that information on the earth. Earth is the gem in the universe. So where does this take us? Like, where does this journey take us? Well, we're beginning to enter into the Aquarian age. So what does that mean? When it comes to the astrological ages, forgotten, but it's reawakening. Okay? We have now made it. If you think of the whole cycle, when precession started, we started with the age of Leo. We went through the age of Leo and then until we got, it's like the whole cycle takes 26,000 years. We're entering the age of Aquarius. We're leaving the age of Pisces and entering into the age of Aquarius. So we've made it to the halfway point in the 26,000 year cycle of the precession of the equinoxes. This means that we are now at the opposite point when precession began with the age of Leo. Leo, Aquarius are opposite in the chart, in the astrological chart. Aquarius is the opposite sign of Leo, which makes it the age that we're moving into a full moon effect. Remember, a full moon is an opposition. The sun and the moon are opposing, and it creates a lot of intensity, but it's also the completion. It's also the culmination of a chapter, of a cycle. We're at the halfway point. This is the expression of the opposite. And what is the opposite? It's happening now. The opposite is humanity. It's we are one. It's awakening to the truth. It's awakening the higher mind. Aquarius, ruled by Uranus. The sky, the higher mind, the connection to the beyond, right? It's taking our power back, because the age of Leo was the beginning. The age of Leo is the king, right? But the age of Aquarius is the people. The power regimes fall. 2020 is the year where we start to see all of this start to break down. This is breaking down. You can see it. It's freaking happening. It's out there. If you think this is all a coincidence, no. The process, because this 2020 involves a lot of Pluto, who is the god of the underworld and the ruler of the dark and the tower, because this process of 2020 is ruled by Pluto, basically, it's going to be a little arduous. But we have to get through it if we focus on, we can get through it if we focus on what's important. I don't know what the TRAPPIST-1 system is. So this is why Western astrology has come out of the woods, out of the closet, however you want to describe it. More and more people are interested in it. It's essential to our inner well-being, to understand our cosmic blueprint, our star map, to understand what makes us who we are, and what we choose to work on and bring into this time-space reality. And that's why we need to understand our astrology, because we need to go on our own journey of transcendence. You're not going to know what to do unless you know how the system works. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching this. So if you want to join me on this powerful journey of learning astrology, then please come join us. We start May 5th. This is called Aquarian Astrology. Module 1 is May 5th. And you don't have to be there live. If you're in another part of the world, you don't have to be there live. There'll be a replay. It will be recorded, and then you'll have access to it forever in your portal. So all you have to know is that each class, each module will be one a month. The first one is on Tuesday. The second one will be sometime in June. But all you have to know is that you just have to sign up, and it'll be there available for you. You can join us live, and if you join us live for that initial class, then you actually get to ask questions live. It's a brown dwarf system with 7 planets located in the... Ooh, cool. Really cool. So that's how you, it's so easy, you guys. It's so easy. I know, me too. So we're going to take it step by step. We're going to start with the basics of astrology. We're going to start with how astrology works, the astrological ages. What's the connection? Today I was literally giving you guys part of the class. I'm like showing you some of the things you're going to be learning in the class. And that's the reason why I did this video, was to give you like a preview of what we're going to be talking about. But we're going to talk about the language of astrology. So what are the zodiac? What are the constellations? What do they mean? What is the birth chart? What are the houses? What are the planets? Right? All of this stuff, that like the basics, the language. You have to understand the language in order to understand how to interpret a chart. And the cool thing about Western astrology is that it's a feminine practice. I forgot to tell you guys the story of the gods and how this all relates. So, but if you want to join us, I'll tell you that story right now real quick. But if you want to join us on May 5th, there's a link in the description of this video. That's how you sign up. And then from now on, you'll have your login and password for the rest of the modules that we'll do. Yes. So basically a really easy way to tell Western astrology, and why I love it so much, is because you get to bring all of you to the interpretation. You get to bring all of you to the picture. You get to show up and you get to be yourself. And that's the powerful part about this Western astrology, is we get to shine. Our best self gets to shine. So, the story of Uranus, the god Uranus. He was the god of the sky. And he actually had sons that were titans. So they were like, the titans of the water or whatever. I want to know what Juno and Chiron are. So the first class, we're going to cover just the planets, because that's enough. We won't go beyond to the asteroids. That's later. But we will learn about the asteroids later, in a later class, in a later module. But basically, Uranus was the god of the sky. And everything was fine and dandy until one of his sons, which was Cronus, chopped off his dick and threw it into the water, into the ocean. Not dramatic at all. He basically chopped off his masculinity and threw it into the water, the femininity, right? Into the moon. From the sky to the water, to the earth. So from that, Venus was born. Goddess Venus was born. And she is the feminine. She is the goddess of the earth. She's the goddess of love. She's the goddess of compassion, right? So this is a story. I'm not making this up. You can look it up. But what happened is Venus came down to earth from the sky. She literally brought heaven to earth, and she opened up the way for us to understand ourselves, to understand who we are, to understand what our role is. And that's why I believe the birth of, this Western astrology in the way that we know it now, even though it has been around for lots and lots and lots of thousands of years, it has come back for some reason. And I believe that we are here to learn about ourselves now. And so that story just resembles like the difference between Vedic astrology. It's in the sky. It's with the gods, right? Vedic astrology is with the gods. And Western astrology is right here with us on earth. It's the perspective from here up. And the journey is always from the mind to the heart. From the mind to the heart, but it's not over there. Because once you transcend through the heart, it's to the heart, back to the mind. But then that process, you reach the higher mind. Right? From heaven to earth and then back to heaven. It's beautiful. The whole thing is beautiful. If you missed this video, watch the replay. This story, this what I presented here is pretty powerful stuff. You're not going to get it anywhere, you guys. No one's like just coming out and talking about this stuff. It's important, and it's part of our ascension journey as human beings. We need to know our astrology. We need to know who we are. We need to understand how it works. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I'm so freaking excited. I believe it takes Earth 24,000 years. I consciously dream and worry about water. Well, that's a lot of emotions. That's emotional. Emotions are up. So Sparky, they are, so Chiron, I call Chiron a planet, but he's not technically in astronomy a planet. But a lot of astrologers use those names interchangeably. It's just easier to say planet, whatever, you know. It doesn't really matter, because what matters is their orbit, how long it takes to get around the sun, how they relate to the earth, how they relate to the center of your chart, which is where you are at, where you are seated. Those are the things that matter. What's the symbolism? What sign it's in? Doesn't matter if it's a planet or not. It's how does it affect you? And when was it discovered? And how does that relate to the meaning of the planet or asteroid? Yeah, thank you for that donation. Yeah, this video is jam-packed. It's like Jesus ascended from heaven to earth and then rose. Yeah, it's all there. Like, the answer is there, you guys. We've been blind. Like, the answers are there. They're all right here. All we need to do is be like, I know the path. We know the path. It's inherent. It's in us. It's in our sacred geometry. You're welcome, Rebecca. It's fascinating, I know. Nice, Stacy. It does, Rebecca. Chiron rules Virgo. No, I have not. Astrotheology. Ooh, interesting. Exactly, Rebecca. Yeah, you're welcome, Sparky. In metaphors. 33 viewers. Nice. So thank you, guys. That's all I wanted to talk about. So tell your friends about it. Let's get an awesome group going. And if you guys have, if you have signed up for the class, please join the Facebook group. The link to the Facebook group is in your portal. It's one of the chapters. It says join the Facebook group. You click on it, click the link, and join. I want you guys in the Facebook group, because I'm going to, throughout this year, like, that's going to be your connection to me through astrology, is through the Facebook group. And I'm going to be doing lives in there every once in a while. And we're going to be doing discussions and stuff like that. So please just join the group. I know, I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this my whole life. Me too. Me too. You're welcome. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting this channel by watching, by being here. Thank you for joining in my crazy endeavors that I embark on in life. Awesome, Rebecca. Yes, go sign up now. Sacred Geometry, Vesica Pisces. Yes. So you're welcome. Thank you guys, all of you, for being a part of this powerful community. We also have a separate Facebook group, like a community Facebook group, that's called Channel for Grace Soul Tribe. If you want to join, a lot of the people that watch here and are in the chat often are in that group, and we do like fun things there. We did a 40-day meditation, and I share stuff in that group. So if you want to get connected with the community, the Channel for Grace community, then join that Facebook group. Thank you, Vanessa. You're welcome, Boobarth. And you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Channel for Grace, basically across the board. Channel for Grace on Instagram, Channel for Grace here, Channel for Grace. I do Periscope too. I don't know if you guys know Periscope. Doesn't really matter, because Periscope is not that big of a deal. But sometimes I go live on Periscope too. And if you want to book, I do astrology readings as well, personal readings, and tarot readings. The astrology is, what I do is an extensive astrology reading of your chart, or I can do a transit reading. Those are the two offerings I have for astrology. And I also have a life purpose reading. And then also the tarot has a few different options as well. But if you want to work personally with me, you can book readings on my website, which is channelforgrace.guru. You can get through the course to the course web page through my website, but you can also go to courses.channelforgrace.guru, and that will take you to the online courses portal. You want to make sure you bookmark that page, because you will keep coming back to it, just like you would come back to log in to pay your credit card. So you want to bookmark that page, because that's going to be the portal. You always want to have that ready and available. You don't want to have to be looking for it. Yes, definitely watch the beginning. Yes, so Sparky, you got that reading with when we did the Finding the Magic Playground with Jason. So the life purpose reading that I offer is that reading that I gave you, minus the tarot that Jason brought in. That's basically what that is, for those of you guys that experienced it. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to go chillax. Oh my God. It feels like I've been going forever and I haven't stopped, and I need a break. Tomorrow will be like more relaxed. And I know I haven't uploaded the May pick a card reading, so I'm going to do that tomorrow. Yes. Is that the half reading? What does that mean? What do you mean by half? But you mean the half an hour reading? Anyways, it's all on there. The information is all on my website. Just go check it out. Yes, have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much. And I will, I'll see you guys. I mean, literally, you guys, the next time I'm going live is for the astrology class. So sign up, because you don't want to miss it. Good night. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay? I'll see you guys on Tuesday.